Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we're going to keep looking at M11, core set 2011, and we're going to move on and look at Breath of Fire, which is a red and blue deck. Kind of like all the M11 decks, it is weighed more towards one colour with a splash of the other one. So this one is predominantly red with kind of like a splash of blue. But yeah. Let's start looking at it. So red blue, always like looking at red blue, and this one's pretty good, I think. So the foil face rare is Ancient Hellkite, which is 4 and triple red, which hurts it a little bit in a 2-color deck, but it's fine because the payoff is pretty good. So 4 and triple red for a 6/6 flyer, and it has ability 1 red. It does 1 damage to target creature defending player controls. To activate this ability only if the Ancient Hellkite is attacking. So yep, you swing with this, dump a bunch of red mana into it, and just kill off all their creatures, which is really great. You do it for blockers are declared, so kill enemy flyers. Just kill off small creatures that they're not using in combat at all, like little utility creatures. This is pretty good, and then obviously it gets through and hits someone for 6. So yeah, I think this is a pretty fun rare to include. I quite like it. So the other rare is Cyclops Gladiator, who is also triple red, which is not, it's a bit of a pain, but it's not the end of the world. So 1 and triple red for a 4/4. When it attacks, basically it fights another creature. I don't think it's been oracled to say fight. There might be some sort of rules technicality which I don't know why it's not exactly fight, but yeah, it does damage equal to its power to a creature that defending player controls, and then that creature does damage equal to its power back to the gladiator. So like Ancient Hellkite, this is just a really good way of it attacks. You kill off a creature that your opponent doesn't want to maybe risk. And then they've still got to deal with this thing attacking. Obviously a little bit riskier that it takes damage back, but it's fine. The payoff is that you're doing a lot more damage without having to do mana, use mana to use the ability, I suppose. But it's okay. So we have a single Earth Servant. So this is something I really liked about M11, that the classic elementals got kind of retired, because air elemental have been used like all the time. Like earth, fire, and water had all been gradually shifted out because they were just like kind of vanilla creatures. So what I really liked is that there was this new take on the like classic elementals, all called the servants, and they all actually have effects, which is really fun. So Earth Servant is 5 and a red for a 4/4, and it gets +0/+1 for every mountain you control. So it's weird to see a toughness boosting ability in red, but it works perfectly well, I think, for like an Earth Elemental. It just becomes a big chunky creature. So yeah, I kind of like it. Having said that, it's still like I think the worst of like the 4 new elementals, just because it's so reliant on just having mountains out, and it does nothing else. It just gets higher toughness, whereas the other 3 are a bit more interesting. But I think this is perfectly fine, and it's nice to have this kind of classic elementals back in the game. So Fire Servant is the new fire elemental. So 3 and 2 red for a 4/3. The ability is really nice. If a red instant or sorcery spell you control would deal damage, it does double that damage instead. So really, really, really nice. Kind of wish there had been 2 in there to have. So then you'd quadruple the damage you do from your red spells. That'd be really fun. But I think just having the 1 is perfectly good, and you got a lot of red burn spells in the deck. So yeah, this is a really nice include here. So 2 Chandra Spitfire. So I talked about in the last video about how they were introducing these kind of like signature spells and creatures that were tied to the Planeswalkers, just to kind of, I guess, make the Planeswalkers more visible to new players and like establish them as characters and be like, hey, look, Planeswalkers are kind of a big deal, and like, look, these are some cards that synergize with them, which is really fun. So Chandra Spitfire, 2 and a red for a 1/3 flyer. Whenever an opponent is dealt non-combat damage, Chandra Spitfire gets +3/+0 turn, which is fun because that synergizes with I think it was just Chandra Nalaar in M11, just like original Chandra. And obviously you've got like a load of red burn spells in here. You've got like Prodigal Pyromancer right here who triggers this. So it's a really, really fun effect. And this thing can grow to a huge size just out of nowhere in a single turn. Because it's not like because it does trigger like every time they take damage. So you know, so you ping one with Prodigal Pyromancer, that's one boost. Hit them with a lightning bolt, that's another boost. So yeah, Chandra Spitfire, really good card. Really like it. 2 Prodigal Pyromancer. I mean, I've just talked about Prodigal Pyromancer. We've seen Prodigal Pyromancer before. Jim, 2 and a red for a 1/1. Taps do 1 damage to creature or player. Yep, lovely classic core set card to include. We like Prodigal Pyromancer. 2 Ember Haulers. This is a card I really like from M11. So 2 red for a 2/2. And you can spend 1 and sacrifice it. And it does 2 damage to target creature or player. It's just shock when you need it. It's perfectly fine. It serves as a 2/2, and then if it's going to die or you need to sneak a last bit of damage in, you just sack it. And it does a shock, which is really good. I really like Ember Hauler. I really like it. I'm really happy there's 2 of them here. I think it's just a fun little card. 2 Fiery Hellhounds, 1 and 2 red for a 2/2. Has fire breathing. Yep, this is like just very straightforward, but it's perfectly fine. It's a good mana sink, I suppose. Lets it, punch up. Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. 2 Goblin Tunnelers, 1 and a red for 1/1. Taps to make a creature with power 2 or less unblockable this turn. So this is kind of a functional reprint of the classic, was it Dwarven Miners, something like that. But yeah, this is like a fun creature, and also it's actually a very nice teaching tool in this deck for newer players, that you would use this on Fiery Hellhound or Chandra Spitfire before they get the boosts. Because then they're valid for the ability, and then when you boost the power, they still are unblockable, even though their power's increased. So this is actually a very nice, subtle teaching tool in the deck. I like it. And then some red creatures which aren't as impressive. 2 Berserkers of Bloodridge, just 4 and a red for a 4/4. Has to attack every turn if able. Yeah, not great. I think this is the last time they get used, because yeah, they're just not great. I think this M11 is their last hurrah. Single Canyon Minotaur, he's hanging on. He's the new hill giant. 3 and a red for a 3/3. Yeah, fine. And Goblin Piker still hanging in there. 1 and a red for a 2/1. Yep, absolutely fine. So yeah, all very boring vanilla creatures. So Augury Owl. So if you've been watching these videos for a while, when we've looked at core set decks, you'll know that Sage Owl has been a constant presence in all these core set decks. Like, it was in 7th, it was in 8th, it was in 9th, it was in 10th, it was in M10. Sage Owl is now retired. Augury Owl is the new smart bird. So 1 in the blue for a 1/1 flyer. When it ends the battlefield, Scry 3. So Scry is back. Has it only been used? Oh no, it had been used in Future Sight. Ignore me. I was going to say it'd been used in 5th Dawn only, but no, it had been used in Future Sight. So this was kind of a nice thing that M11 kind of set the trend for, was bringing back an old keyword to use again in the core set. And M12 does it with Bloodthirst, M13 does it with Exalted. I can't remember what M14 does, but yeah, it's. I think it's just a fun thing to do. Bring back a keyword and give it another round of use. I suppose I like it. Augury Owl is obviously, I think, much better than Sage Owl. Sage Owl was like, you just look at the top 4 and rearrange them, whereas Augury Owl lets you scry, which is a lot better, because it means like any cards that you don't want, you can just tuck away on the bottom. So yeah, really good. Even just having 1, I think, is really good. And just a single Stone Golem, just 5 mana for 4/4. Yep, perfectly fine. Chunky vanilla creature. So then moving on to non-creature spells. So we have a Shiv's Embrace, 2 and 2 red for an aura, goes on a creature, gives it +2/+2 in flying and a fire breathing ability. Yep, you put this on anything and it's like becomes a threat. You turn it into Shivan Dragon essentially. Yeah, pretty good. Aura just to slap down on anything, and it turns it into a bit of a threat. 3 Chandra's Outrages, which is really nice. So 2 and 2 red, does 4 damage to a creature and 2 damage to that creature's controller. So 4 damage is not an insignificant amount of damage. That's going to kill quite a lot of things. Doing 2 damage to the creature's controller is also really good, because then that triggers Chandra's Spitfire. So it gets the boost. The fact it can be done instant speed is really, really good. Overall, I think this is just like a really, really good, solid, common like burn spell. Not as good as Lightning Bolt because few things are. But I'm so happy like Lightning Bolt came back in M11. I don't think it was back in M12. I think they were like, oh no, we've made standard too aggressive by reprinting Lightning Bolt. Oh god, red deck wins is too powerful. But I'm really happy it got reprinted again, and like the fact there's 3 of them in this deck is so good. Really excellent that you get nearly a full playset of Lightning Bolt in this deck. There's not much to say. It's just an excellent burn spell. So efficient. 1 red mana to do 3 damage to anything is great. And then Fireball, like classic burn spell, like classic X spell, just pump a load of mana into it. I always, I've said it before if you've been watching these videos a while, but I always think the ability, the versatility, I suppose, you can spread the damage out. I always think you spend so much mana for like it's just not worth it. Normally just put all X, just choose one target and just aim the fireball at that, just that one thing. I think that's the best use for it personally. 2 Lava X's, yep, just 4 and a red, does 5 damage to a player, yep, classic Lava X. This is going to show up in core sets like for quite a while as well, I think. But yeah, it's fine. Single Call to Mind, 2 and a blue to get an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard back into your hand. So I really like this. Essentially a raise dead effect for instants and sorceries, which is really nice. You're in blue red, so you're in the colours that you want to do it in the most, I suppose. Single negate, 1 in the blue just to counter a non-creature spell. Yep, perfectly good. Not much to say about it, really. And then a single unsummon, we all know what unsummon does. Bounce a creature. Yep, perfectly fine. A single foresee, 3 in a blue, you scry 4 and then draw 2 cards. So this is really good. I think this was instead of Divination. I don't think Divination was in M11, off the top of my head. But yeah, this is really good for the 1 extra mana. Just being able to scry 4 and then before drawing 2 is really strong, I think. Yeah, really good. And a single Preordain. So this deck is actually unplayable by modern rules because Preordain is banned because it's very good. Single blue mana to scry 2 and then draw a card. Yeah, it looks so innocent. So innocent you think, oh, it's just scry 2 and draw a card for a single blue. Nope, it's very good. It's not quite Brainstorm, but it's almost there. It's like it's like we have Brainstorm at home. But the home version is still very good. Yeah. So you cannot play this deck in modern rules. So there you go. But yeah, really good little card there. Even just the one of them again, really fun. And then 16 mountains and 9 islands. So what could have been? So again, these like in the last deck we looked at, these suggestions here are going to be fairly minimal because I think what's in here is honestly like pretty good. I can't think of a single card in here that was like stood out to me as being really terrible. Like maybe Berserkers of Blood Ridge, but even then, like it's a 4/4 creature, I suppose. Pyroclasm I think would have been nice. Just like a board wipe spell that would have been okay. I think. Act of Treason, actually surprised Act of Treason wasn't in here. Because it's been downshifted now to common, which is good because that's kind of the effect where the effect belongs, I think. But yeah, this would have been nice to have one of these in here because it's fairly creature light, being blue red, mostly spells. So being able to just steal a creature for a turn and swing with it is classic thing to do. And a single sleep would have been nice, I think, as well, because again, like I said, it's creature light, so doing this to kind of lock your opponent's creatures out of doing anything for a couple of turns would have been pretty good as well. But overall, yeah, I do think it's pretty solid, like all these M11 decks, honestly. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, and it's nice to see a red blue deck that I wouldn't mind playing this one, honestly, because it's just bounce and burn, and a big dragon. Yeah, it's perfect classic red blue combination, I think. What are your thoughts on this deck after seeing it? You got any thoughts, comments, stories, opinions about this deck? Stick a comment below. I'll give it a read. Always like reading people's comments. But I'll be back next time when I look at another M11 core set intro pack. But until then, thanks for watching and listening. Have a great day.